Parallel ninja worlds collide, Empire vs. Altered Konoha. Please like, share and subscribe. Episode 91. Hinata, the Empire who wants to be a concubine, has a completely opposite personality. Yeah. Hinata nodded very obediently. Wait until Tenseigan is truly awakened before starting the formal action. Anyway, with her strength, in that number 1 ninja world, even without Tenseigan, few people would be her opponents. I heard that Menma and Neji can get along well in that number 1 ninja world. Then it will be even easier for me to go there. What's more, she is now gaining new power with the help of His Majesty. The Byakugan is transforming, and the pupil power is increasing rapidly. Tenseigan will be awakened soon. In front of the Tenseigan's all-encompassing power, the 5 Kage are all scum. Don't be too careless. Chang Ye saw through Hinata's inner thoughts at a glance and warned, Menma and the others are only facing those people in the number 1 ninja world, and your goal after you go there is more than that. Your Majesty, I know. Hinata's face also became a little more serious, and she said, after the Tenseigan stabilizes, if we can control the giant Tenseigan on the number 1 ninja world moon, many things will be easy to handle. Use the Tenseigan that she will awaken later. In addition, the giant Tenseigan created by the descendants of Otsutsuki Hamura on the moon. Combining the two, she may be able to burst out the real 6 paths level power. Even when facing the Sage of 6 Paths, or the existence of Otsutsuki Ishiki, she can pose a certain threat. Even if you are strong, you still have to be careful to avoid capsizing in the ditch. Hinata said in a serious tone, Your Majesty, this is what you taught me, and I have always been very obedient. Chang Ye's mouth twitched slightly. You'd better. He also knew Hinata's personality in his world very well. Now, standing in front of him, this girl looked like a good girl, very honest. But if she was placed in the 167 University in the center of the empire, the comments about Hyuga Hinata were basically cruel, violent, domineering and so on. This girl has completely different personalities in front of him than at other times. Your Majesty, those comments in the school are all slanders against me. Hina saw Chang Ye's expression, waved her fist, and said indignantly, I am clearly not like what they said. Dare to say bad things about her behind her back. And it even reached the ears of His Majesty. Those guys really lack training. Okay, you should be careful. Chang Ye waved his hand helplessly and said, I don't know how I cultivated Hinata to have this kind of personality. Oh, then I'm leaving, Your Majesty. Hina looked down at the teleportation array under her feet, hesitated for a moment, and suddenly said, Your Majesty, if I complete all my tasks in the number 1 ninja world this time, then I should be qualified to be selected as the new Kishi princess, right? Wait. That's wrong. When I said this at this time, why did it seem like the flag that Your Majesty said? Pfft. I must have thought too much. This time when I go to the number 1 ninja world, everything will go smoothly. You should do your own thing first. Chang Ye waved his hand, with a light flashing in his eyes, and activated the teleportation array under Hinata's feet. You are still a little girl, and you think so much. Swish. The bright light completely engulfed Hinata standing on the teleportation array on the altar. A force that distorts time and space appeared out of thin air. The next moment, Hinata's figure has disappeared. I don't know how much time has passed. Ninja World Number 1. Ruins of the ancient city of Lulon. The light of the Dragon Vein channel faded, and Hinata walked out of the exit of the transmission channel here. Hinata sighed slightly, looked down, and said helplessly, It's obviously not small anymore. Why does Your Majesty still say that? How many girls of the same age, or even older ones, can compare with me? Senju, Uzumaki, Uchiha, these descendants of gods, all have their own imperial concubines. Could it be that I, a member of the Hyuga clan, can't do it? That doesn't make sense. Imperial Hinata comforted herself a few words, turned on the standard chakra armor equipped, located Konoha village, rushed directly into the sky, and flew straight towards Konoha. Konoha village. Hyuga clan land. In the empty training ground. Baiyan air attack. Ninja Neji's eyes were bulging with veins, and he shouted, and an attack that faintly formed the shape of a palm was launched. Not bad, I can finally use it. Imperial Neji nodded slightly and commented. Then, he casually smashed the palm. Ninja Neji was originally a little proud and excited. But when he saw this scene, his heart was instantly broken. A move that he had practiced for so long. It was broken so easily. How big is the gap between me and myself in this other world? You have only barely mastered this move now, and you need to continue to master it. The Empire Neji said calmly, when your Byakugan pupil power is higher, you can try to practice Byakugan pressure and God air attack. Ninja Neji gritted his teeth and said firmly. Although the recent training is very hard. But he is indeed making rapid progress. After he practices for a while and fully masters the Byakugan air attack, he will almost have the strength of a Jonin, or even close to the elite Jonin. On the other side, Hinata, you have to speed up the progress too. Hyuga Hayashi saw that the Ninja Neji had successfully performed the Byakugan air attack, and he couldn't help but feel a little impatient. They are all from the Hyuga clan. And they are cousins. They also took the same Byakugan fusion potion brought by the otherworld Neji. But now, the gap is still so big. Ah, yes. Ninja World Hinata was a little flustered and responded quickly. Don't stop, keep going. Hyuga Hayashi stood opposite to Ninja Hinata and ordered, use it directly on me and see if you can perform the Byakugan air attack. Ah. I. Ninja Hinata looked at a loss, and his movements were a bit stiff, subconsciously trying to make the opening move of Gentle Fist. Not Gentle Fist. Hyuga Hayashi saw this and said unhappily, I have been teaching you for so long, and you haven't corrected it yet? After seeing the strength of Empire Neji and those powerful and novel Byakugan moves, Hyuga Hayashi now sees more than just the traditional personal fist of the Hyuga clan. He, the patriarch of the Hyuga clan, can be said to have mastered the Gentle Fist to ultimate, right? But what's the result? He only has this much strength. There is still a big gap between him and Kaga level strength. In this case, why not just give up Gentle Fist? Come on, sister. Hyuga, who was watching from a distance, Hanabi clapped his hands and said. Ninja World Hinata gritted his teeth secretly. Try to mobilize chakra and the power of the Byakugan, and try Byakugan air attack again. However, chakra didn't condense into shape at all. At most, you can vaguely see the shape of a palm, but it didn't hit Hyuga Hayashi at all, and soon it completely collapsed and dissipated. Hyuga Hayashi looked disappointed and couldn't help sighing. Hinata is still not good enough. It seems that maybe we should focus on Hanabi. Aside. Huh? Neji's face suddenly changed, and he looked up at the sky. Ninja Neji was a little puzzled, and looked up at the sky. What's wrong? Is there anything in the sky? That little black dot, what is that? Why does it seem to be getting bigger? Neji's face has completely changed at this moment. Damn it. Why did His Majesty send her here so soon? I finally have a stable time in this ninja world. Is the rare peaceful life going to be broken so soon? Whoosh. The terrifying sound of breaking wind, from top to bottom. The wind pressure brought by the rumbling sound made the people below couldn't help but bow their heads. Suddenly, the gradually increasing movement disappeared all at once. After falling at a high speed, Hinata's speed suddenly slowed down, and she landed lightly on the ground. Long black smooth hair, bright white eyes, and a face similar to Hinata from the ninja world. However, Hinata from the Empire was wearing a tight black dress, which made the difference very obvious compared to Hinata from the ninja world. The Hyuga clan's land. I should have walked right. Hinata from the Empire nodded slightly and glanced at everyone present, me, Hanabi, my father, Neji-san, and... As she spoke, Hinata from the Empire turned her gaze to Neji from the Empire who was trying to sneak away. Hina tilted her head, looking very obedient. Neji, what are you doing? Oh. I didn't do anything. Neji froze and stopped, sweating on his forehead. Hina, I didn't expect His Majesty to send you here so soon. This is killing me. How can he live in the future? Will he be able to stay in the Hyuga clan land in this world in the future? Is this Hinata from another world? Neji asked curiously. She looks pretty normal, right? She's not as introverted as Hinata here, but she shouldn't be a very cruel person, right? Why would the other world self react like this now? Of course I came here because I have my mission. Hina said calmly. Also, Neji, don't worry, I don't need you as my sparring partner in the future. Oh. Really? Niji's eyes lit up immediately, and he could hardly hide his surprise. Hina said seriously, with the help of His Majesty, my strength has improved a little bit recently. With your strength, Neji, I am afraid you can't bear my strength now. After all, he is my cousin. He is now in the stage of transformation from Byakugan to Tenseigan, and the pupil power of his eyes is very unstable. If he fights at this stage, he may not be able to control himself and use up his strength. Then he will not be able to explain to Uncle Hisashi. And after his Tenseigan awakens, he will naturally not need to use Neji as a punching bag. At that time, he will definitely not be able to bear the beating at all. Niji's expression froze directly. This guy still talks the same as before. Father of this time and space, I will just call you that. Imperial Hinata suddenly turned to look at Hyuga Hayashi and said, Father, I just watched your previous training and teaching methods from the sky for a while, I would like to ask. Is this how you usually teach me and Hanabi in this world? Hyuga Hayashi's heart suddenly lifted. Obviously, he was facing his own daughter from another world. However, he now felt more pressure than facing the Hokage. This Hinata from another world who just came here, her personality seems to be a little beyond his imagination. I have always taught like this. Hyuga Hayashi said with a stiff face, so, is there any problem with this? Imperial Hinata glanced at Hyuga Hayashi, then looked at the ninja world Hinata who was looking at him timidly, and shook his head, sigh, this world is really bad. Hyuga Hayashi looked aggrieved. Obviously, this other world Hinata didn't say much. However, with just this one sentence, he felt as if he was looked down upon. Damn it. Of course, there is no His Majesty in this ninja world, so I can't have too high expectations of you. Imperial Hinata shook his head and said to himself, it's just that you are a little too far away. Father, as the patriarch of the Hyuga, the descendants of the gods, you haven't even reached the strength of a Kage level. You only know how to be strict and scold your daughter, and don't know how to adapt. Not only that, but even your own, well, nothing. She wanted to say that she couldn't even protect her own brother. But after thinking about it, she felt that it was a bit hurtful to say it, so she decided not to say it. And Hyuga Hayashi. Hearing what Imperial Hinata said, his face was already red. Being so disliked by his own daughter in another world, but he couldn't refute it. But, the me in this world, your personality is really troublesome. Hinata frowned slightly, thought for a moment, and said, well. How about I let Neji stand there and you beat him up? Well, beat any of the people. In this way, maybe it can change the introverted personality of this peer a little. Don't always get entangled in the inside. Going crazy and beating others up, isn't that good? Hinata's face was stunned. On the other side, Neji from the Empire and Neji from the ninja world, both of them were about to turn green. What are you talking about? If you want to teach Hinata a lesson, why do you have to let them get beaten? 2.7. It seems that this is not going to work. Hina looked at her counterpart's shrinking action, sighed slightly, thought about it, and her eyes suddenly lit up. Then, she smiled and waved to Hyuga Hanabi who was watching the show not far away, Hanabi, come to your sister. Hyuga Hanabi didn't understand, thought about it, and walked over. She now knows about Otherworld. This sister in front of her, who came from Otherworld, can't bully her sister, right? Sister from another world, hello. Hyuga Hanabi said obediently. DSDG. Empire Hinata was still smiling, but suddenly stretched out her hand and grabbed Hanabi in her arms, and pinched Hanabi's neck with her right hand, and her expression instantly became a little sinister. Hanabi was confused. She wanted to say something, but the next moment her mouth was blocked by Empire Hinata. What are you going to do? Shinobi Hinata immediately became anxious, subconsciously set up a posture, and aimed at Empire Hinata. And Hyuga Hayashi was also shocked at first, but he reacted quickly, stood there, and did not do anything. You attack me now? Empire Hinata sneered and said to Shinobi Hinata, otherwise. I can't say what your sister will do next. Osos. Hanabi struggled in Empire Hinata's arms, unable to speak, she could only sing and scream. You. Shinobi Hinata was panicked by this scene, veins bulged at the corners of his eyes, the power of his Byakugan burst out unconsciously, and an invisible mental shock was subconsciously sent out to the opposite side. Byakugan, the prototype of coercion? Empire Hinata nodded slightly, a light flashed in his Byakugan, and the mental shock was directly dispersed. It seems that stimulating you in this way still has some effect. Episode 92. Violence. Hinata, suppress the Hyuga clan. Buy-in pressure. Fuga Hayashi's face changed slightly. During this period, Neji showed him only 3 moves. The normal power of Byakugan air attack, and the enhanced version of Byakugan God air attack with Super Kaga level power. There is another advanced use of Byakugan, which is to use the power of the Byakugan to send out mental shocks, directly penetrate the opponent's body surface, and oppress the opponent's brain. If you are not prepared, you may even faint directly if you are hit by this move. And now, this daughter of his family, who has never satisfied him, actually used the prototype of Byakugan pressure. It seems that my guess is right. Hinata nodded slightly and said, when you want to protect someone, your potential can be stimulated. Ososos. Hanabi, who was held in his arms, cried. Sorry. Hinata put Hanabi down quickly and said apologetically, I'm sorry, sister used you for experiments without your consent. Next time, can you tell me in advance next time? Hanabi looked at her sister in the 2 worlds, and her mind quickly reacted. This sister from another world who had just arrived grabbed her and wanted to use her to stimulate the potential of her real sister. Now it seems that this method is indeed very successful. But she was really scared just now. She didn't have a chance to react. She was even covered when she spoke. Sorry, it's all my sister's fault. Hinata faced her sister, but she was not as sharp as before, but very gentle. So, you see. Hinata suddenly turned around and said to Hyuga Hayashi bluntly, this method may work. She has such a personality, you still know not to scold with a cold face. With your teaching method, no wonder the Hyuga clan in the ninja world has fallen like this. Although the Uchiha clan was exterminated, it was because it could pose a threat to the Konoha high-level officials. And the Hyuga clan. There is no qualification to be exterminated. Not strong and cowardly enough. Hyuga Hayashi was so speechless. Damn it. This Hinata from the other world is so nice to Hanabi, but he is so nice to his father. And you. Hinata turned his spearhead to the ninja world again. Hinata, from now on, be more serious like you did just now. Otherwise, I will beat Hanabi. Ninja Hinata looked puzzled. What is this? How does my training have anything to do with Hanabi? Fuga Hanabi was also stunned for a moment, and then quickly reacted, and said to Ninja Hinata pitifully, sister, you must practice well. Otherwise, your sister, will be finished. Hearing this, Empire Hinata nodded secretly. It seems that Hanabi in this world is still very smart. I will work hard. Ninja Hinata looked at Hanabi's pleading eyes and said firmly. There was Empire Hinata watching from the side. Whether it was Empire Neji, Ninja Neji, Hyuga Hayashi, or Ninja Hinata, none of them dared to be lazy and slack. Each of them was very serious in training. I seem a little hungry. Empire Hinata touched her stomach and suddenly became a little expectant. Is there anything delicious in this world? Hyuga Hayashi was barely relieved, stopped, thought for a moment and said, do you want to eat at home or go out to sea? Well, let's eat at home. Imperial Hinata stroked her eye sockets and said, my eye power will be unstable in the future, so I will stay in the clan for the time being. She now has to wait for the 3rd fetal movement period. When the eye power that keeps surging stabilizes, Tensigen will be truly awakened. Before that, according to what His Majesty said, she'd better not engage in high-intensity battles. X10S. Fuga Hayashi nodded. Then, he told the servants at home to prepare food. Very soon. Empire Hinata was facing the table that could only accommodate 7 or 8 people at most, and looked at the little bit of food on it, and was silent. Is that all? Fuga Hayashi was a little surprised. Is this not enough? This was the first time he saw his daughter from another world come, so he specially asked someone to prepare more. This is not enough? Who can eat this? Empire Hinata was speechless. According to the current amount, go for 5 times the amount. No, 10 times. After saying that, regardless of Hyuga Hayashi's dumbfounded expression, Empire Hinata looked at Ninja Hinata and asked curiously. Is this enough for you to eat normally? Could it be that the 2 worlds are also a little different in this regard? Duh. Looking at the self in this world, the development is not very good at the moment. Although for a girl of this age, it may be relatively outstanding, but it is far behind me. Ninja World. Hinata hesitated a little, looked at the food on the table, and hesitated a little. Sister, other sister, do you usually eat so much? Hanabi asked curiously. This amount is already a lot now. 5 or even 10 times. Is this the appetite of humans? Could it be? Hyuga Hanabi's eyes lit up and guessed, is there a difference between the two worlds? The other sister has the blood of the Akamichi clan? This makes sense. The Akamichi clan are very good at eating, and she knows this. It's just that, the body shape of the Akamichi clan doesn't seem to be very good looking. And looking at the other sister, she doesn't seem to be from the Akamichi clan. What are you thinking about? Imperial. Hinata flicked her finger on Hanabi's forehead. Sister, I am of pure Hyuga clan blood. His Majesty has checked me and said that I am just born with a strong appetite. DS. Hanabi covered her forehead and looked at Ninja Hinata. Then, sister, you don't have this? DB. Ninja Hinata lowered her head a little embarrassedly. Up. Imperial. Hinata saw this and guessed, it seems that your appetite should be similar to mine, but because of your personality, you have never been embarrassed to say it, right? It seems that the difference between the two worlds should not be too big. The self in this world is the same as me in terms of blood talent and appetite. As for the difference in personality, this should be the difference caused by the acquired growth environment. After thinking about it, Imperial. Hinata looked at Hyuga Hayashi with disdain. Hyuga Hayashi looked puzzled. What happened to me? Well, you can let go of your inhibitions and eat as much as you can today. Empire. Hinata looked at the newly served food and said with sparkling eyes. Let's eat. DS. Empire. Hinata swallowed a piece of sushi and frowned slightly. Sure enough, it's still not as good as the food in the Empire, but it's still okay. After saying that, he continued to grab the next portion without stopping. Beside the table, the dishes piled up little by little. Hyuga Hayashi and Hyuga Hanabi were already completely full. And the Hinatas in the two worlds, one ate openly, the other ate shyly, but they never stopped eating. Hyuga Hayashi was secretly shocked. Hinata can eat so much. This is really unexpected. Hyuga Hayashi looked at Hinata in the ninja world, and said hesitantly, not eating enough every day, will this also affect the improvement of strength? This? Imperial. Hinata stopped eating for a while, looked at her counterpart opposite, and said, well, I think her current strength is not good. The main problem, on the one hand, is that the way you use the Byakugan in your ninja world is too backward. As for the other hand, it is naturally your father's education method that has problems. Hyuga Hayashi's cheeks twitched slightly. Does it mean that not letting Hinata eat as much as she wants has no effect on her strength? That's not the case. Hinata said with a serious expression, if I can eat as much as I want, I will feel better and be in a better state during training. So, being full is still helpful for training. Hyuga Hayashi was completely speechless. After eating, Hinata took a break for a while, thought about it, and said, the Hyuga clan in this ninja world seems to still retain the distinction between the main house and the branch house, and even retains the caged bird. Regarding this, doesn't Neji want to abolish it? It shouldn't be. The reason why Uncle Hizashi in this world died was because of his identity as a branch house, and he was thrown out to die for his twin brother in the main house. Logically speaking, after knowing this, Neji should be very eager to abolish this backward system. +5. Hyuga Hayashi's expression immediately became heavy. Neji from our side, he should want to improve his strength first, and then abolish caged bird with his own strength. For him, as the clan leader, he also wants to abolish caged bird. At the beginning, his brother was forced to die, which was also a pain in his heart. And now facing the distinction between the main family and the branch house, one of his two daughters may be labeled as caged bird. Hinata and Hanabi, only one of them can inherit the main family, and the other will be labeled as caged bird sooner or later. It was also because of this that he easily chose to accept the Empire Neji, a visitor from the otherworld. It was to use the power of the otherworld empire to get rid of the caged bird system. In the past few years, the elders of the main family have been urging me. Hyuga Hayashi shook his head and sighed, but every time I was delayed because I couldn't decide who would inherit the main family. In theory, Hinata is the elder sister and should have inherited the main family. However, Hinata's personality is not suitable, which is also visible to everyone. So, he delayed the choice of heir by training Hanabi, and the elders of the main family could barely accept it. However, year after year, the urging of the elders of the main family has become more and more frequent. Heh. Hina sneered, and a chill appeared on her delicate face. Do those people want to carve a caged bird on my head in this time and space? Just them? The former main family of the Hyuga clan, whether she listened to her father's explanation in the past or understood it before she came here, can clearly understand that the elders of the main family are a bunch of idiots who dare not even go to the battlefield. It is said that in this ninja world, during the difficult period of the Third Ninja World War, a ninja of the main family went to the battlefield and successfully set the first record of the Hyuga clan losing their Byakugan. What a waste. Go and call Neji and the others. Hina said calmly, then, go to the elders of the main family. Fuga Hayashi swallowed his saliva, feeling nervous. This daughter from the other world, now, the pressure on him is simply too much. Hayashi, what do you want to say by calling us all together suddenly? The head elder of the main family, accompanied by a branch house guard, came to the secret room where the Hyuga family held regular meetings. The elders of other branches of the main family also came with him. Are you going to decide on the candidate for the successor of the main family? The second elder nodded and said, well, it's time to decide early, and we can't delay it any longer. Hyuga Hayashi coughed lightly, and looked at the elders of the main family with a trace of pity in his eyes. Today, I really came for this matter. These old guys. 433 probably doesn't know who they are facing yet. That Hinata from the other world, although he doesn't know much now, but it is certain that Hinata from the other world is not someone who can be controlled. Outside. Imperial Hinata, Ninja Hinata, Hyuga Hanabi, Imperial Neji and Ninja Neji walked in together. Among them, Imperial Hinata used the white Zetsu coat to disguise herself as Ninja Hinata. And Ninja Hinata and Imperial Neji transformed into the appearance of other Hyuga people. Hayashi, why did you bring so many people here to decide the successor of the main family? The head elder of the main family looked at Hyuga Neji and the two branch house ninjas disguised with transformation technique, frowned and said, also, who do you plan to let inherit the main family? Is it Hanabi? Hyuga Hayashi was silent for a moment. What if I say yes? If yes, then get ready as soon as possible. The head elder of the main family said, as a matter of course, Hanabi is responsible for inheriting the main family, so Hinata should naturally carve caged bird as soon as possible and transform into a branch house. Hearing this, Hyuga Hayashi did not speak again. Instead, he stepped back slightly and made room. You just said. Imperial Hinata stepped forward with a kind smile on his face and said to the elders of the main family in front of him, you are going to carve caged bird for me, right? Is it your turn to speak now? The head elder of the main family frowned and scolded, also, what is your attitude now, ah? Before he finished speaking. Opposite. Imperial Hinata's eyes were blue, and the pupil power in the white eyes of his eyes burst out instantly. Boom. The terrifying Kamui pressure came. This room in the secret room where the Hyuga clan held a regular gathering, a storm suddenly appeared. The elders of the clan felt intense pain and collapsed to the ground. They rolled their eyes in pain, sweat dripped down their foreheads, and wailed in pain. You, what did you do? The branch house guards under the clan elders were shocked and looked at Hinata with caution. What? Are you addicted to being a dog? Hinata showed no mercy. A light flashed in his eyes and he pressed his energy. Instantly, the branch house guards also collapsed to the ground in pain. You bunch of trash, stand up. Hinata shouted softly, controlling the power of his eyes, if you continue to lie on the ground, I will make your pain more and more severe until you have a mental breakdown and eventually brain death. If you can stand up now, maybe I can show mercy and relieve your pain a little. She is now strictly controlling her pupil power. While making these people feel severe pain, she also ensures that they can clearly hear her words and think clearly. P.S. The Hyuga main family should have several branches, and only one person can inherit the main family. Otherwise, where did Qing's white eyes come from? The descendants of Yumura on the moon should also be there. If there is only one person in the main family, why would the branch house have a giant Tensigan? Just assassinate him directly. Episode 93. Danzo, Hiruzen, it's your turn to take the blame for me. In the back. After seeing this scene, Empire Neji, who was disguised as a branch house ninja, shook his head secretly. For him, such scenes are no longer strange. This cousin of his is not only gifted since childhood, but also highly valued by His Majesty. She has been much stronger than her peers since childhood, and was born as a descendant of the god Hyuga, and then coupled with His Majesty's preference. As a result, Empire Hinata has the personality she has now. The Hyuga clan elders in this world are really tired of living. Saying that he would plant a caged bird on Hinata, this is still a light end. On the side, Ninja Neji and Ninja Hinata were stunned. Although they had vaguely felt before that Hinata from the other world had a special personality. But, seeing the scene, they were still shocked to the point of being speechless. They just glared and scolded the elders of the main family like dogs. For Neji in the ninja world, this scene had a particularly severe impact on him. Originally, according to his previous thoughts, he was thinking that with the help of the otherworld isomorph, he would spend a period of time to improve his strength, and then strive for the opportunity to abolish caged bird, regain freedom, and control his destiny. Result. Now, what Hinata did directly smashed his previous expectations. The elders of the main family who were usually high and mighty are now lying on the ground in pain, wailing constantly. There is no dignity as the elders of the main family. Why, can't you even stand up? Hina said contemptuously, if you don't even have this little will to survive, then you guys don't have to live anymore. As he said, Hinata controlled the released white-eye pupil power and continued to increase it a little. Immediately, the pain felt by the elders of the clan and the branch house guards who were lying on the ground became even more intense. Moreover, this soul-tearing pain continued to escalate as Hinata's pupil power increased. Let me go. A branch house guard had a ferocious expression, supported himself on the ground with his hands, and barely managed to stand up. He was shaking, his legs were trembling, and he looked like he might collapse at any time. Not bad. Hinata nodded with satisfaction. Congratulations, you have earned the right to live. While speaking, the mental shock released to the branch house guard was withdrawn. Instantly, the branch house guard felt relieved, his frowning brows relaxed, and his whole body relaxed. Hyuga Hinata, the eldest daughter of the main family, is so hidden. There is no trace of her weak and soft character before. She killed so many of them in a blink of an eye. Very soon, the remaining branch house guards could no longer bear the severe pain in their brains. They struggled and barely got up from the ground. And Empire Hinata also withdrew the mental shock imposed on them. Exa. Empire Hinata shook her head and said, it seems that the most useless members of the Hyuga clan are the old guys from your main family. These old guys also tried to get up just now. However, after a few flutters, the will to struggle could not suppress the pain of the brain being torn apart, and finally they all collapsed back to the ground. The old guys from the main family, at this moment, were lying on the ground like dead dogs, and they could hardly even scream and wail. Just relying on you bunch of trash, you want to plant caged bird for me? Empire Hinata said disdainfully, you are so weak in strength, and your will is so weak. The main family is full of you, no wonder the Hyuga clan has fallen like this. You are obviously not good at anything, but you step on the heads of other clan members with the identity of a main family, a bunch of trash. After a contemptuous mockery, Empire Hinata did not continue to oppress these people until they were brain dead, but withdrew the mental shock and saved a few lives. After all, it was a human life, and the surplus value was not fully squeezed out. It would be a waste to kill them directly. Go, arrest them. Hinata ordered several branch house guards, seal their chakras and lock them up. The branch house guards were still a little hesitant. But when they saw Hinata glaring at them, they immediately shuddered and dared not hesitate anymore. If they attacked those elders of the clan, they might be in trouble in the future. But if they didn't obey now, they might be finished immediately. They really couldn't afford to offend Hinata, the eldest lady of the clan. Several branch house guards attacked together, performing acupuncture to seal all the key acupuncture points of the clan elders. Now, even if these clan elders wanted to activate Caged Bird, they couldn't do it. I'll spare your lives first. Hinata thought about it, and a wicked smile appeared on her face. Tell me, if you plant Caged Bird, how will the ninjas from the branch house look at you? The elders of the main family turned pale instantly. According to their usual style, if they lose their status as the main family, it's good enough if they are not beaten to death by those branch house ninjas. Hayashi, you can't do this. The head elder of the main family carefully avoided Hinata's sight and looked at Hyuga Hayashi, wanting to say something. Hayashi, the head of the clan, should always take care of her daughter, right? How can he be so domineering? This is to disregard the traditions of the Hyuga clan. Why, do you have any opinions? Hyuga Hayashi didn't even speak, and the Empire Hinata's mouth curled up slightly, and the light in his bright white eyes flickered. No, no, no. No, no objection. The elder of the main family's legs softened, and cold sweat came down again. He definitely didn't want to experience the experience of walking on the edge of the gate of hell again. Sure enough, that's all he can do. Hina shook her head, then stretched out her hand to Neji, and said, "Look, these old guys are only at this level. If you want to get rid of the caged bird system, just beat them up. With the strength of these old guys, even the control method of caged bird is useless. As long as you have a little bit of strength, you can kill them before these guys launch caged bird." With his father, the clan leader, supporting the abolition of caged bird, the ninjas of the branch house must also support it, so the only ones who oppose it are these old trash from the main family. It's just a matter of getting rid of a few of them. How big a deal is it? Ninja Neji didn't know how he should feel. He had always hoped to get rid of caged bird and regain his self-reliance. As a result, in front of Hinata from Otherworld, he just glared at her. Just glaring twice, those clan elders were as obedient as dogs. Ninja Neji suddenly felt a little discouraged. Okay, what to do next is all up to you. Empire Hinata waved her hand and said nonchalantly, "There is nothing important recently, don't disturb me." She came here with an important mission from His Majesty. Konoha Prison. In a separate and isolated cell. The previously dismissed 3rd Hokage Sarutobi Hiruzen was imprisoned here alone. Although he was imprisoned in Konoha Prison, the living environment was not as bad as other criminals. After all, he was once the Hokage of Konoha. In this regard, Danzo Zhang would pay attention to his dignity. Lord Danzo, according to the current situation. Danzo's only remaining subordinate Aburame Ryoma was sweating on his forehead. We seem to have made a mistake. We have been investigating for many days. Sarutobi Hiruzen has also been interrogated. In the end, nothing was found. The most important thing is that Sarutobi Asuma, the suspect who killed the daimyo of the Land of Fire, has not been found yet. If Sarutobi Hiruzen really hid Sarutobi Asuma, then Sarutobi Hiruzen has been imprisoned for a while now, and Sarutobi Asuma should have revealed his true colors now. But there is nothing at all. Still no clues about Sarutobi Asuma were found. They searched all the lands of the Sarutobi clan, but could not find any trace of Sarutobi Asuma. There were no clues found in the various documents of the Hokage building. It shouldn't be. Shimura Danzo looked a little confused at the moment. My guess should be the most logical. According to his explanation, everything that happened recently can be explained. If Sarutobi Hiruzen is arrested now, clues should be found soon. And now, nothing is found. Could it be that he really made a mistake? Thinking of this, Danzo was almost sweating. If he really made a mistake, this is a lot of fun. He has already dismissed Sarutobi Hiruzen in public, but now he can't find the truth. If this matter is exposed, Sarutobi Hiruzen's suspicion will be cleared, then he will definitely suffer the consequences. Danzo, what should we do now? Aburame Ryoma is completely at a loss. If it is true that Lord Danzo guessed wrong, this can be said to be a huge mistake. The shadow of a village was voted out by all Jonin in public because of a wrong guess. No, it can't be wrong. Shimura Danzo's face kept changing, and soon he became firm. My guess can't be wrong, the truth is like this. Now, it doesn't matter what the truth is. Even if I really made a mistake, I can't expose it. Otherwise, my Hokage dream will be completely hopeless. Duh. Shimura Danzo thought about it, and reached out to stroke the bandage on his right eye. Hiruzen must be hiding some key information. I need to interrogate him in person. Aburame Ryoma didn't dare to say a word. As Shimura Danzo's deputy, he knows Danzo best. Lord Danzo, this is going to use the power of the right eye. In the isolated cell. Shimura Danzo opened the door and walked in. Hiruzen, how have you been these past few days? Danzo spoke as if they were old friends who hadn't seen each other for a few days. Sarutobi Hiruzen stared at Danzo with a sinister look in his eyes. How dare you come to see me? This bastard. I don't know if it was intentional or accidental, but he actually came up with such an outrageous guess. He forced the Hokage to step down in public. Not to mention, he is now in prison. Hiruzen, you better confess as soon as possible. Danzo didn't have any embarrassed expression on his face, and said calmly, in this case, maybe I can think of a way to help you find a way out. Sarutobi Hiruzen was immediately furious and rolled his eyes. You are lying when you say this? Not to mention that he didn't know anything at all. Even if he was the mastermind behind the murder of the daimyo, if the charges were proven, how could he still be alive? He would definitely be sent to the daimyo's mansion to report. Shimura Danzo shook his head, suddenly pulled the bandage on his right eye with his hand, and aimed it at Sarutobi Hiruzen's eyes. Buzz. A scarlet light flashed through the gap in the bandage. The Mangekyo Sharingan belonging to Uchiha Shursui. The Mangekyo with a four-leaf windmill pattern suddenly froze, and the pupil power was poured into Sarutobi Hiruzen's mind. Kr. Sarutobi Hiruzen didn't have time to resist at all, and he lost consciousness directly. Answer me. Shimura Danzo asked coldly, it was you who murdered the daimyo. Where did you hide Sarutobi Asuma? It has nothing to do with me. Sarutobi Hiruzen had already lost consciousness, and at this moment he answered dully, I don't know where Asuma is. Across the street. Shimura Danzo was silent. It seemed that he had made a mistake. This is so embarrassing. His guess was so logical and linked together, how could there be a problem? Who killed the 6 people including Yamanaka Fong? Shimura Danzo was not giving up and asked, also, how are you connected with Uchiha Itachi? Why did he destroy my root base? I don't know. There is no connection between Uchiha Itachi and me. Sarutobi Hiruzen answered mechanically. Shimura Danzo was completely confused at this moment. His guess, is there not a single correct place? This shouldn't be. Next. Shimura Danzo was not giving up and asked about the details of his previous guess one by one. Then he found that Sarutobi Hiruzen really didn't understand at all. The other party was now controlled by himself with Mangekyo Sharingan. He must not be able to tell a lie. Shimura Danzo shook his head indifferently, anyway, we just need to give the daimyo's government an explanation that they can accept. As for who killed the daimyo and who destroyed his root base, he can wait until he becomes Hokage to investigate. Ma Zhao Zhao. And now. Hiruzen. The Mangekyo Sharingan in Shimura Danzo's right eye suddenly bloomed, and a special power sneaked into Sarutobi Hiruzen's mind. I have taken the blame for you so many times in the past few decades. Now, it's your turn to take the blame for me. Distinguished heavenly gods, start. On the streets of Konoha. Kakashi, what's going on? Might Guy was confused. Are you going to announce the results of the investigation into the daimyo's murder? This, I think. Empire Kakashi narrowed his eyes, looking forward to it. Shimura Danzo only needs to investigate further to find out that he guessed wrong. But what will he do after that? This is very interesting. Soon. Under the Hokage building. The notice had been posted a day in advance. Now, many people have gathered here. Konoha's ninjas and ordinary villagers gathered here. Above. On the rooftop of the Hokage building. Sarutobi Hiruzen walked to the front, facing the Konoha villagers below, and slowly said. Dear Konoha family members and companions, I am the former 3rd Hokage Sarutobi Hiruzen. Now, I am here to clarify my sins and confess some of the mistakes I have made. Some time ago, because I was blinded by greed, I secretly used my disciples, sons, and the traitor Uchiha Itachi to kill 3 daimyo in succession. All this is because of my personal greed and my desire for the power of the daimyo. Fortunately, the village Hokage assistant Shimura Danzo discovered and exposed my conspiracy in time, preventing me from continuing on the wrong path. In addition, I have made many mistakes in the past years of my rule. For example, the genocide of the Uchiha clan, which I knew in advance and acquiesced to Uchiha Itachi. In this regard, Assistant Danzo once tried to dissuade me, but I ignored him. I would like to deeply repent and reflect on myself. Episode 94. Danzo's advice, Hiruzen, you should defect. Under the Hokage building. The crowd was completely in an uproar. Originally, most of the Konoha villagers and ninjas didn't know what would happen today. The previous daimyo's continuous murders were shocking to ordinary people, but they were far away after all. The previous Jonin voted to remove Sarutobi Hiruzen, the third Hokage, and it was kept secret for the time being, and the Jonin didn't spread it around. As a result, now, in the eyes of the villagers of Konoha, this is their own Hokage who suddenly blew himself up. The third Hokage of their own village, the third Hokage who always appeared in front of everyone as a kind old man, suddenly said that he had killed 3 daimyo in a row. Not only that. Even the Uchiha genocide was done by his genocide Itachi Mogo? Are these things true or false? It should be true, after all, the third Hokage said it in public. But how could this be possible? The third Hokage is so bold? He even dared to kill the daimyo? The genocide of the Uchiha clan was actually carried out under the instruction of the third Hokage. It's terrible. The village's high-level officials are too dark. Shoo. Don't dare to say that. By the way, the Shimura Danzo mentioned by the third Hokage just now, who is he? Have you heard of him? No, it seems to be something Hokage? I don't think I've seen him much. The crowd was talking. Whether it was the murder of the daimyo or the truth of the Uchiha genocide. For the Konoha villagers, it was a bombshell. The villagers' original filter of Sarutobi Hiruzen as a kind old man was shattered in a short time. Nara Shikaku was also standing under the Hokage building, looking at the rooftop above with an unbelievable face. Third Hokage. What the hell is he doing? How could the murder of the daimyo be announced in public in front of so many people? Especially, there is also the Uchiha genocide. Even if it is true, you can't just say it out loud. The Konoha high-level officials, in the village, genocide a ninja clan in the village. What would the ninjas in the village think if this kind of thing was said directly? Would Konoha still have cohesion in the future? Shikaku, what is going on now? Yamanaka Hai was also confused, frowning and asked. The third Hokage actually said that Danzo had dissuaded him from exterminating the Uchiha clan. How is this possible? Is this saying treating them as fools? Shimura Danzo, the Hokage assistant, is undoubtedly the one who is most hostile to the Uchiha clan and the one who is most afraid of the Uchiha clan in Konoha village. He also dissuaded? This is nonsense. I don't know. Nara Shikaku pondered for a long time, shook his head and said, maybe there is some agreement between the third Hokage and Danzo. Agreement? Yamanaka Hai's heart moved. What kind of agreement can be reached? Akamichi Dingzu scratched his head and said in confusion, now the third Hokage admitted to killing the daimyo in public. In this case, he will definitely be sent to the daimyo's mansion to report to the authorities, right? It's already a situation where he is doomed to die. How can he reach an agreement with anyone? Above. On the rooftop. Sarutobi Hiruzen looked normal and continued to narrate. During the Third Shinobi World War, because of my personal weakness and ignoring the opinions of Assistant Danzo, Konoha did not gain much benefit even though it was the victorious country. During my administration, Konoha's overall strength declined. This is my personal fault. I should review it again. Also, after a vote by all Jonin, I am no longer the third Hokage of Konoha. Because of the mistakes I made, I am willing to atone for the daimyo who were killed because of my greed. As for the future, I hope you can support Assistant Danzo's work and continue to work hard for Konoha. Soon. Sarutobi Hiruzen finished speaking. Afterwards, he did not feel that there was anything wrong with what he said, and walked back from the edge of the rooftop. Very good, Hiruzen. Shimura Danzo had a satisfied smile on his old face, nodded to Sarutobi Hiruzen and said, as an important step towards the position of Hokage, I will always remember this moment in the future. In Konoha prison. Assistant Danzo. Di-Lu frowned and asked, since the truth has been investigated, what about Sarutobi Asuma? As the murderer of the Fire Country daimyo, he should also be taken back to the daimyo's mansion. As for the Konoha Sannin Jiraiya who was suspected of killing the Wave Country daimyo, and the rebel ninja Uchiha Itachi who killed the Wind Country daimyo. What these two people did had nothing to do with the Fire Country daimyo's mansion, so naturally he didn't need to worry about it. Shimura Danzo's eyes flickered slightly. We successfully found clues about Sarutobi Asuma's whereabouts during the interrogation process and sent people to capture him. However, during the capture process, Sarutobi Asuma resisted violently and a fierce battle broke out. In the end, Sarutobi, BBDB, Asuma was hit by the fire-style ninjutsu and died on the spot. His body was burned so badly that his original appearance could not be seen. Hearing this, Dilu's face immediately became a little ugly. What the hell? With Konoha's strength, can't they even capture Sarutobi Asuma alive? They let someone die, and the body is unrecognizable. How can I report back like this? Assistant Danzo. Dilu looked directly at Danzo and questioned, is Sarutobi Asuma really dead, or are you unwilling to hand over the real Sarutobi Asuma? If Konoha handed him a body that was unrecognizable, how would he verify whether it was Sarutobi Asuma or some other scapegoat? He knew that Sarutobi Hiruzen and Shimura Danzo were both students of the second Hokage and had been partners in partners for decades. Maybe, this Shimura Danzo promised Sarutobi Hiruzen, and wanted to save Sarutobi Hiruzen's son in this way. What I said just now is absolutely true. Although Danzo was helpless, he could only continue to perform seriously. Sarutobi Asuma is indeed dead. This is a mistake in our Konoha's actions. He can't do anything about it. He doesn't know where Sarutobi Asuma is now, or whether he is still alive. I thought the truth was that Sarutobi Hiruzen was the mastermind who killed the daimyo, and Sarutobi Asuma was hidden by Sarutobi Hiruzen. As a result, who would have thought that his perfect guess was wrong? He has no way to hand over Sarutobi Asuma now. So, he can only make up such a lie. Sarutobi Asuma, this is barely acceptable. Dilu took a deep breath, suppressed his dissatisfaction and said, then Sarutobi, what about Hiruzen? Since Konoha has found out the truth, I should be able to take him to the daimyo's mansion to report, right? Assistant Danzo, don't make it so that a person can't be identified this time. If Sarutobi Hiruzen also died inexplicably, and the body was unrecognizable, then we can directly conclude that Konoha wants to protect people like Sarutobi Hiruzen and Sarutobi Asuma, and doesn't intend to really hand them over. Just get a body of an unknown person and fool the daimyo's mansion. This is natural. Danzo's scalp numbed, and he reluctantly perfunctorily said, it's just that although the overall situation has been investigated, there are still some details that need to be investigated when it comes to the daimyo of Wind Country and the daimyo of Wave Country. So, handing over Sarutobi Hiruzen is not possible now, and it will take some time. I really can't hand it over now. What he used on Sarutobi Hiruzen before was the distinguished heavenly god's eye technique of the right eye Mangekyo Sharingan. But this distinguished heavenly gods is only a short-term distinguished heavenly gods. In a short period of time, it can modify Sarutobi Hiruzen's will, and it will not be discovered by insight methods such as the Byakugan. But after the effect of distinguished heavenly gods is over, Sarutobi Hiruzen will wake up and find that he had modified his will before and let him take the blame. Once Sarutobi Hiruzen wakes up, and then he will hand him over to the daimyo mansion, then he will be finished. This must not be done. Daj. If not, then Danzo can only think of one solution: nothing can be found after a person dies. But he can no longer use this method. If he does it again, he will be treating the daimyo as a fool. He managed to fool Dilu temporarily. But look at Dizo's face. If he can't hand Hiruzen over to the daimyo, I'm afraid the daimyo will not agree to let him succeed as the 5th Hokage. Shimura Danzo couldn't help sighing. I thought that after forcing Hiruzen to abdicate, he could easily become the Hokage. But now, he is in a new dilemma. Ryoma, do you have any ideas? Danzo asked his only remaining confidant with some worry. Aburame Ryoma was silent for a moment, thinking, and said, first of all, handing over the 3rd Hokage is definitely not an option. Without the control of the distinguished heavenly gods, the 3rd Hokage will tell the truth, and then Lord Danzo will be finished. And if the 3rd Hokage is killed directly, the daimyo prefecture will not be able to continue the investigation. Looking at Dilu's previous attitude, this will not work. Lord Danzo. Aburame Ryoma pondered for a long time and said, in the current situation, perhaps Song can let the main Hokage defect first. Danzo was listening carefully, but he was stunned. Defection? What is going on? If Hiruzen escapes, what will he do next? On the one hand, if the 3rd Hokage defected, the daimyo would be more inclined to believe that he killed the daimyo and fled for fear of crime. Aburame Ryoma analyzed and said, after the 3rd Hokage defected, we sent people to hunt him down. But because the third Hokage is still very strong, we can't capture him alive during the battle, so we can only kill the third Hokage by force. In this way, maybe the daimyo can be fooled. Opposite. Shimura Danzo was frowning, but the more he thought about it, the brighter his eyes became. Although there are still many loopholes in doing this. But considering his current predicament, it seems that this is the only way. Konoha Prison. In Sarutobi Hiruzen's cell. Minokado Hamura and Udatain Koharu came to visit. Just right. Sarutobi Hiruzen stood up when he saw the two coming, and his anger was rising. Yen, Koharu, you two should know the truth. Danzo, that bastard, he actually used Shirsue's distinguished heavenly gods to control me before. This bastard. He secretly hid a Shirsue Mangekyo Sharingan and actually used it on himself. Now he can be said to be completely finished. Even the Uchiha clan extermination was exposed in public. Even if he can clear the injustice of killing the daimyo, he will never be able to succeed to the throne of Hokage again. Hiruzen, calm down first. Mitokado Hamura comforted. I'm still calm? I'm about to be thrown out to die, how can you ask me to calm down? Sarutobi Hiruzen became more and more furious, and was almost angry. Hiruzen, this time. Udatain Koharu hesitated for a moment before saying, Danzo said that he wanted to make amends because he misunderstood you. Da? Sarutobi Hiruzen was a little confused. Danzo knew that he was not the one who killed the daimyo, so he didn't need the distinguished heavenly gods to control him to take the blame. After doing such a thing, he is not far from death. What else can Danzo do to compensate him? Hey, Hiruzen, this. Danzo has a suggestion. Mitokado Hamura looked a little embarrassed, not knowing how to say it. Danzo doesn't want you to be forced to die because of this misunderstanding. So, Danzo. He is willing to give you a chance to live. Sarutobi Hiruzen became more confused after hearing this. Give me a chance to live, how can I do it? Could Danzo go against the daimyo for himself and refuse to hand himself over? No way. How could Danzo be so bold? However, if he wants to give himself a chance to live, what else can he do besides this? Danzo, this bastard. Sarutobi Hiruzen snorted, it's not a bastard at all. Although it was indeed Danzo who pitted him like this. But fortunately, Danzo didn't force himself to die. His current situation is already difficult to save. He can survive temporarily in this way and wait for the future to find out the real murderer of the daimyo. This is barely acceptable. $. Mitokado Hamura and Udatain Koharu looked at each other, gritted their teeth, and said in unison, you defect. What did you say? Sarutobi Hiruzen was stunned and could not react. Defect. Who? Who will defect? Defect for what? Hiruzen, this is the way Danzo gave you. Mitokado Hamura made up his mind and said, it's a bit difficult to let Danzo fight against the daimyo. But if you defect yourself, Danzo can more or less explain to the daimyo. For the two of them, this ending is already good. Danzo has already made the situation like this. Now, Hiruzen can temporarily save his life by defecting, which is good. What are you talking about? Sarutobi Hiruzen came back to his senses, his face gradually darkened. I am the third Hokage of Konoha. Danzo actually asked me to defect? Fuck. I was just touched for nothing. So Danzo is not going to fight against the daimyo mansion for himself. He is planning to let me defect and report to the daimyo mansion in this way? What the hell? Defect, escape. This is ridiculous. Sarutobi Hiruzen was so angry that his teeth were almost broken. If I defect, I will become a joke in the whole ninja world. Now, he is just taking the blame for killing the daimyo. Once this blame is cleared, it will probably not be a big deal. And once he, the former Hokage, defected, no matter whether he could clear the blame later, his whole life would become a joke. Hiruzen, calm down first. Mitokado Hamura said helplessly, this is the best concession Danzo has made. With Danzo's character, he will not take the initiative to admit that he was wrong before. In this case, let you defect, so that you can at least save your life. Otherwise, Hiruzen, think about it, Danzo will probably kill you and send your body to the daimyo mansion for reporting. Sarutobi Hiruzen's expression froze. This, although he wanted to curse, it seemed to make some sense. Danzo, that bastard, if he was forced to no way out, he would directly kill himself and leave a body to the daimyo mansion. He could do such a thing. Could it be that he really had no choice but to defect? Episode 95. Shocked the ninja world. The third Hokage defected? Sarutobi Hiruzen's face was uncertain. Now, it seemed that the only way left for him was to defect. Otherwise, he would probably be killed by that bastard Danzo, and his body would be thrown to the daimyo's mansion for punishment. Sarutobi Hiruzen was cursing in his heart. Hiruzen, this is the situation now. Mitokado Hamura saw Sarutobi Hiruzen's expression and breathed a sigh of relief. You should be able to figure out what to do. For him and Utatane Koharu, they didn't want Sarutobi Hiruzen to be killed by Danzo. If Sarutobi Hiruzen could save his life by defecting, it would be a good thing. And Danzo also said so. Utatane Koharu added, after you defect, maybe you can go to Orochimaru. Orochimaru? Sarutobi Hiruzen suddenly raised his head. He was stunned. What the hell is this? What does it have to do with Orochimaru? Danzo said that the Sound Village in the Land of Fields was founded by Orochimaru. Mitokado Hamura nodded and said, Hiruzen, after you defect, maybe you can choose to go to Orochimaru. In this way, in his opinion, although Danzo did a bad thing, he was trying to make up for it. At least he saved Sarutobi Hiruzen's life, and also found a new home for him. Sarutobi Hiruzen's expression changed. It was as if 10,000 alpacas were roaring through his heart. What the hell? Orochimaru, that kid, was obviously a rebel, but he actually created a village in a dignified manner? And now, he actually has to go to Orochimaru? That's all, Hiruzen, think about it carefully. Mitokado Hamura said as he prepared to leave, if you have thought it through, the guards here will relax a little and give you a chance to escape. Sarutobi Hiruzen's face was dark. The next day. Hokage Building. Dilu went straight to Shimura Danzo, who had moved to the Hokage Building to work, and was furious and spoke rudely. Assistant Danzo, what's going on? I heard that the third Hokage defected. What are you doing in Konoha? Can't you even see a person? Now, the whole Konoha is about to explode. The third Hokage Sarutobi Hiruzen took advantage of the guards' inattention and escaped from the Konoha prison. Now no one knows where he ran to. Abbot Dilu, we have sent people to track him down. Shimura Danzo said righteously, this matter is indeed due to the poor guarding of Konoha, but Abbot Dilu, don't worry, Sarutobi Hiruzen can't escape far, and will soon be discovered by the Konoha shinobi. However, it is impossible to capture him alive. With Sarutobi Hiruzen, given the strength of the Hokage, the large number of ninjas sent by Konoha to encircle and suppress the daimyo could not be captured alive in the fierce battle, so they could only kill him. How reasonable. In this way, the matter of killing the daimyo can be turned over. Sarutobi Hiruzen, he was the mastermind behind the murder of the daimyo, and there is no evidence to prove it, it is a stone hammer. Humph. Is it really because of poor supervision? Dilu stared at Danzo with a questioning face. Or did Konoha not want to hand him over at all, and deliberately let Sarutobi Hiruzen run away? Sarutobi Asuma, the murderer who killed the daimyo, only left an unidentifiable corpse. And Sarutobi Hiruzen, the mastermind behind this series of events, actually ran away from Konoha. He now suspects that Konoha may not really intend to hand him over to the daimyo's mansion. Konoha definitely has no intention of deliberately letting him go. Shimura Danzo said firmly, I will immediately announce Sarutobi in the name of the Hokage assistant. Hiruzen is a traitor. No matter where he escapes to, the Konoha shinobi will be hunted down by the Jinju. Now, it is Dilu's turn to be at a loss. Before, Sarutobi Hiruzen was just dismissed. Although this is the first time, it is not too outrageous. But now, the shadow of the village escaped from custody and was declared a traitor. I am a little unsure. Konoha shouldn't make such a joke, right? After all, there has never been such a joke in the entire history of the ninja world. Then please send as many people as possible from Konoha to capture Sarutobi Hiruzen as soon as possible. Dilu looked at Shimura Danzo's serious face and couldn't figure out the situation at all. Could it be that Sarutobi Hiruzen really just found an opportunity to escape? Of course. Shimura Danzo nodded firmly, but he was slightly relieved in his heart. It seems that Dilu should have been fooled by him temporarily. After that, Just send someone to kill Sarutobi Hiruzen and make sure there is no evidence, then it will be foolproof. Puff. Jiraiya was almost choked to death by his saliva, looking at Mitokado Hamura and Utatane in disbelief. Koharu and the others, no, this, two teachers. How could the old man defect? What the hell? He just wondered if his ears were broken. His teacher, the former third Hokage of Konoha, actually defected now, and was even declared a traitor? The wanted notice for the traitor has been issued now. Mitokado Hamura avoided Jiraiya's sight with a little guilty conscience. Hiruzen, he did defect from Konoha. No, what is going on? Jiraiya pulled his hair in annoyance. I don't understand. He doesn't understand at all now. What is going on? Some time ago, his teacher was publicly dismissed from the position of Hokage and was imprisoned. And because he was suspected of killing the daimyo of Wave Country, his movements were restricted recently, and he had no chance to contact his teacher. He just heard that his teacher confessed to killing the daimyo and the Uchiha genocide in front of a group of Konoha villagers yesterday. As a result, this morning, he was actually told that his teacher had defected? He was the third Hokage of Konoha not long ago. How come he suddenly became a wanted traitor in the whole ninja world? Where is Danzo? What is he doing? Jiraiya suddenly frowned and asked, it was his guess before, how is he investigating now? Is the old man the mastermind? And what is the matter with the defection? If the mastermind behind the murder of the daimyo is not his teacher, then he should be cleared of all charges. And if it was really his teacher who did this, shouldn't Konoha be under strict surveillance? How could his teacher find a chance to escape? What's more, now, Danzo has announced that his teacher has become a traitor. With this, Konoha may have become a joke in the entire ninja world. No, I want to see Danzo, he's messing around. Jiraiya was so angry that he slammed the table. Mitokado Hamura and Utatane Koharu looked at each other and did not stop him. Jiraiya's strength is good, but how can he be a match for Danzo in this kind of calculation? Iwagakure. You just said Sarutobi Hiruzen, that old guy, was actually dismissed? Third Sasuke Janoki held his old waist that had just been twisted a little, and asked Huang Zhang opposite him uncertainly. Yes. Huang Tu nodded, this happened about half a month ago. Anoki couldn't hold it back and laughed out loud. Sarutobi Hiruzen, the third Hokage of Konoha, is also his old rival. In the current ninja world, the two of them can be said to be the two Kages with the longest tenure. And as a result, now, that old guy Sarutobi Hiruzen has ended up like this. It's so funny to think about it. Huh. Can't laugh anymore. Anoki held his waist with his hand and tried to restrain himself. If he keeps laughing, his old waist will be completely gone. Well, you just said that Sarutobi Hiruzen was exposed to the Black Rabbit because he was suspected of killing the daimyo. Anoki thought about it and couldn't help frowning. That old guy, is he so ambitious? He even dared to kill the daimyo. I don't think so. Clearly a few years ago, he was threatened by Cloud Shinobi with war. Why is he suddenly so ambitious that he wants to get involved in the power of the daimyo? Could he have made a mistake? For example, maybe Shimura Danzo made up this excuse to frame Sarutobi Hiruzen. Anoki nodded as he thought, and felt that what he thought made sense. Father, there is the latest news. Huang Tu's facial muscles twitched slightly, and he was a little bit unbelievable, according to the latest information. Sarutobi Hiruzen, he defected from Konoha and has now been announced as an S-level traitor by Shimura Danzo. Da? Anoki was stunned on the spot. His head was buzzing. Defection? Sarutobi Hiruzen, that old guy, actually defected? And he has been announced as a traitor? Wait. Anoki quickly reached out to stop him, stepped back, and leaned back in his chair. Are you sure about the information you just said? Very sure. Huang Tu said decisively, the official wanted documents of Konoha and the Land of Fire have been sent to us. This also means that if Sarutobi Hiruzen, the Konoha traitor, comes to their Land of Earth, they also have the right to kill Sarutobi Hiruzen. Anoki reached out and slapped himself in the face. It hurts a bit. I'm not dreaming. That means, this is true? Sarutobi Hiruzen, the old rival who has competed with me for so many years, suddenly turned from a village shadow to a traitor? What is going on? Anoki paused for a long time, then looked up with a confused face and asked, Are they the daimyo who were killed by Sarutobi Hiruzen? We don't know about that. Huang Tu spread his hands and said, this is the information we know now. He didn't understand what was going on at all. The ninja world is really in such a mess recently. The 3 daimyo were killed, and the Hokage defected. One thing is more absurd than the other. Inoki nodded slightly, and suddenly couldn't help laughing, ha 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 ha. Sarutobi Hiruzen, that old guy, he actually defected? He even became a traitor. It's so funny, ha 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 ha. Please give me flowers. It's a pity that I can't see Sarutobi Hiruzen's expression with my own eyes. I don't know what the old guy thinks about his current situation. In the dark cave, the light and shadow of 6 Paths Madara appeared. However, after the 6 people of Akatsuki were all present, no one spoke at all. I didn't know how to speak at all. What is going on? After a long time, Uchiha Obito, with a dark face under the mask, spoke first. Itachi, didn't you pass the message to Sarutobi Hiruzen? I did. Ninja Itachi frowned and said, it's possible that I told them Otherworld. Uchiha Obito manipulated Sarutobi Asuma to kill the Fire Country daimyo, but there was no reply. The ninja crows he sent out to deliver the letter did not come back. No idea what happened. So what is the situation now? Hashigaki Kisame looked at everyone present and asked, why did Konoha become like this? They all heard recently that Sarutobi Hiruzen, the former 3rd Hokage, was dismissed not long ago, and now he has defected from Konoha and become a traitor. What the hell is going on? They have already informed Konoha that the one who killed the daimyo was an invader from Otherworld. Now, logically speaking, Konoha should try to unite the entire ninja world to deal with the invaders from Otherworld. At the very least, even if you don't believe them, you should still try to verify it. As a result, the Hokage of the family defected. What the hell is going on? What a mess. The Akatsuki rebel organization tried its best to expose the threat of alien invaders to the 5 major ninja villages. As a result, the 5 major ninja villages are doing this kind of inexplicable tricks. Maybe it's because I have lost the trust of Konoha. Ninja Itachi frowned and guessed, the question is, what should we do now? The 3rd Hokage may still believe me, but Shimura Danzo, no possibility at all. With Danzo's personality, he will only choose to send someone to get rid of this Uchiha remnant. We have tried our best to find a way to notify the 5 major ninja villages, but no one believes it. Black Zetsu couldn't help but sigh. He hadn't experienced this kind of situation for thousands of years. He was the mastermind behind the plot against the ninja world, and now he finally wanted to take some responsibility for the safety of the ninja world, but no one believed him. It was really weird. The problem is that we know too little about alien invaders. Itachi thought about it, shook his head and said, if we can come up with some definite evidence to prove the existence of alien invaders, it would be much easier. Unfortunately, there was no evidence. Even the first thing he learned about alien invaders was from Orochimaru. The land of fields. Otogekure. KK. Orochimaru had a bright smile on his face that he had never seen before, and welcomed him. Teacher Sarutobi, I didn't expect that you and I would meet again under such circumstances. He really couldn't hold it back now. Originally, a few months ago, he was still thinking about working with Sand Shinobi to carry out the Konoha collapse plan. At that time, he was going to use his recently improved reanimation jutsu to give his teacher a grand funeral. As a result, because of the alien invaders, the collapse plan of Konoha could not be carried out. He was a little disappointed at first. But who would have thought that, in a twist of fate, his teacher would become a traitor and come to him? It was so funny. Fate is so interesting. Sarutobi Hiruzen's old face flushed. Orochimaru, you actually created a ninja village outside. After defecting from Konoha, he was still a little skeptical, wondering if the matter between Orochimaru and the Sound Village was true or not. Could it be that Danzo was lying to him? As a result, when he came to the Sound Village, he actually met his disciple Orochimaru. Teacher Sarutobi, how is it? How do you feel now? Orochimaru smiled and said, you and I, the master and disciple, have now become S-level rebel ninjas in Konoha. Teacher Sarutobi, it seems that you and I are really destined to be together. Sarutobi Hiruzen was so upset that he was about to explode. Orochimaru, this bastard, I shouldn't have let him go at the beginning. Now he is still here to squeeze me. At the most unlucky and miserable time in my life, he actually rubbed salt into my wounds. Teacher Sarutobi, I suggest that you look at me with a friendlier expression. Orochimaru shook his head and said. Friendly? Sarutobi Hiruzen clenched his fist and snorted. Orochimaru, do you think that I can't lift the stick because I'm too old? If this traitor dares to tease him again, he doesn't mind summoning the monkey demon to fight first. This is not good, Teacher Sarutobi. Orochimaru's mouth corners slightly raised. Don't you want to know who killed the daimyo? Now, in the entire ninja world, I am one of the few who know the truth. District. On the other side, Sarutobi Hiruzen's face suddenly changed.